So Chad's just finishing up the framework of the roof, and it's been quite the fight to get the right material to do this.
We first had this wood, and we were breaking them left and right. I knew we had to soak them, and I didn't think we had time to do it, so I thought we'd use metal. That didn't pan out because, well, I didn't get it. I just knew it would kink as we went over these cross braces. So we ended up going with the wood. We soaked it overnight, and that worked pretty good. You know, just let the sprinkler on mist over the top of it, and it worked decent. A couple of them still cracked out. I should probably just take that and do a little video from the top. Okay, so here's the deal. We ripped them wider at first, you can see, like this one, and they really don't bend very well, so we ripped them a little narrower. I think that's about 1.25 inches. I'm crawling around, so you kind of make sure when you're up here, if you're building one of these, don't actually step on the boards. Another thing you'll notice is they don't go straight. A lot of times the grain doesn't want to go with it. I recommend just don't fight it. Let it go where it wants, so you'll just end up breaking it. You'll see ones that, like I got this one that broke, but it just had to stay. So what I did is I just stapled the crud out of it and then ran the DA over it so it's somewhat flat, somewhat even with the rest of them. But I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, there you go. It flattens out sort of as it gets towards the front, but well, that's what you got to deal with. So they were cracking out, but soaking them did help a ton. Some of them are going to break anyway, it's just not in the grain. Another recommendation, I think this one probably cracked because I stapled. At first I was doing 3 staples. I thought then it was too much because I think it was any more pressure on there was making them crack out. Don't go next to one another with the staples, that'll make it crack out. Instead, go at an angle like this. One off of this side, one on that side. Thank you, Tiff, for unplugging that air. So just a couple of tips, I guess, on that. On the ends, I just ended up, after I had them hung off, another thing is don't staple them on all the way, because I started in the back and you start stapling them on and then you get to the curve and then it cracks on you and you got to pull the whole thing off. So what I did is I just tack it in the low area and then tack it here at this curve, the second one in the 2 that are in the low part of the curve, and tack those down, and then don't tack these top ones. You might even get away with not tacking that one, and the reason why is when you get up here, you're laying down on the roof, and you want to grab this end and bend it down, because when you bend it down, you could also pull it back this way towards the back of the car and help release that tension, so that way you're not gonna break it. I should just hand this to Tiff when I'm doing this up here, but here. So, can you see me better now?
Yeah, I can see you.
So again, don't tack these ones on the curve because it'll just put all the tension right here and it'll break. Instead, leave it loose on these 3, and then you're able to kind of make the whole thing slide and bow this way. Pull it back as you bend it down. And man, your muscles are tweaking because not because it's all that hard, even though it is stiff, because you're just really afraid of breaking them. But then I just cut these off with a metal disc for die grinding. It was the quickest way. Oh, you can't do that. That's for metal. Well, I did it anyway. So I guess that's it. Those are just a few tips as far as putting this stuff on. It's got to soak overnight. This happens to be on mahogany, and it's frustrating that some of the boards break because you're just, you're blowing, every time a board breaks, you're blowing $7.
So now you're going to put vinyl on it.
Yeah, I wish I had some foam to throw on here. That'd be great too. But and I bought everything that Menards had for this trim, and I even had to start spacing them out a little more as I got over here. It's not too visible, but again, if you wanted to be it perfect, you could get a whole bunch extra. And if you break some, then you break some, and you can redo it. But they didn't. Again, we're on a deadline. We got what, 4 days to finish this now?
Yeah, we got to have this thing done by Sunday.
We've got the artwork to do and this roof, so.
If you get the roof done today, then you'll have the rest of the week to do artwork.
Yeah. So again, if you were trying to do it perfect, you could buy a bunch of extra material, but we have a deadline to meet, and it worked good enough for what we're gonna do. And that, you can see how the I don't know if you can see that going from this angle. You can see how it bows off. It doesn't actually follow this. The wood has its own pressure on it, so it creates its own bow that's off of the wood. Metal would have kinked on every one of those bars. That's why we ended up not going with that, and I just tried to soak the wood, and it ended up working. Another thing I wanted to mention too is we use this thinner. We ripped an edge off of this. I think this stuff was 2 3/4 wide or something like that. So then when we ripped these an inch, it left us about a ½ inch of trim, which worked perfect for the edge. And you want to use this because there's kind of a double curve. You've got the curve that goes this way, and then it's not going to be perfect. This is straight across here. But this ends up, because you're rolling, it ends up being a double curve where it kind of has to bend around. So the thin one is better. And again, it cracked here on this one. The other side didn't. And I just took the DA to it. Again, stapled the heck out of it and then took the DA to it. But this is what we're using on there. And Tiff, you want to hand me that grinder? I'll show them what I mean by the cutoff wheel. This cutoff wheel real quick. And that works pretty quick, and it's easy enough to do.
So it's just like a...
Yeah, just a die grinder with a
just a thin
wheel.
metal blade.
And then I'll just take the DA and round these edges off.
With 36 grit.
Yep. Okay, so this is kind of humorous, but I was worried about where I'm going to find a pad. This is what we end up having. We had this laying around because I didn't want to spend, $100 on a stupid bed pad or some stupid thing like that. We just had some carpet pad that we ripped out some carpet in our house when we finished some hardwood floors. It was in good shape. So we just used that. And it's going to be painted black on the underside, and on this side you're not going to see it anyways, so who cares? It'll be covered. So that way it takes out some of that warble from the slats from the lath. So that'll work pretty good. It looks fairly decent. So hopefully that'll work pretty good. Okay, so here's what I had to do in order to get the top on. The vinyl's on the top all the way along. Looks pretty good. I had to peel back the metal, the cladding, so that way I could tack in underneath it the vinyl. And then what I'm doing is I'm using a rubberized urethane to seal in here and on the top. And it doesn't look too bad. It's not visible from the bottom anyways, but even from the top it's not horrible looking. Here's what it looks like finished on the side after it's all done. And again, I sealed in there on the top. It's hard to see in here. That barely gives you any visual at all. But I'll probably run another bead right along the top here just to seal it, because if it rains on it or whatever else, right now it's going to go in between and just behind the metal. So I sealed it inside here, and I don't want the water resting in there, so I think I'll just run another bead of that caulking or whatever you want to call it along the top. But it looks pretty decent. That foam, carpet wood foam, really helped as far as evening it out, not having the ridges from the lath. So not too bad. And then these are just being, what these are is the pinch welt is put in, slid under there, and then I screw in through the metal to the pinch weld, and then the pinch weld hides the screws, so it holds it pretty tight, and it looks pretty decent finished. And it's fairly simple.
Down at the shop, it is Sunday night. We leave Tuesday morning for Milwaukee, and we are still slaving away on this mighty chariot. We're trying to do this finishing touches. Chad had me come down today because he needed me to help him, and we are finishing up this last little bit of lettering on this side. Advertise. 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 How's it going?
Horrible. It doesn't stick worth a crap on this stuff. It's probably because of the matte finish on it. So you've got to kind of punch it down so it sticks really good, and then airbrush it fairly quickly. I can only get about a letter or two done, and then it starts lifting the frisket off. It hurts to kind of hit it like this. As always, if it doesn't work, get a bigger hammer. I tried all sorts of different things, leaning on it and pushing and pretty much rocking the car as I did it. But it seems like when you smack it, it gives it impact enough to stick it good. See, look at that, it's coming off right there.
It seems like the airbrush is working nice though.
Yeah, these are just Harbor Freight airbrushes, and they're, see that? That ticks me off. That's one thing about airbrush. It dries very
quick, yeah. Air. I mean, it's blowing right on it. I mean, a lot of paint jobs with bodywork though, you always talk about dry spray, so.
Yeah, this is very dry. We're trying to flirt the line to get it as wet as we can to get coverage without getting it. That's not good. Let's go to the next one. Back to that effort. Give it a second to dry off.
So you kind of get the idea of what we're doing here.
It's kind of chilly too, so you got to warm up the metal a little bit, just
Yeah,
touching it to warm it up a second, and then when you hit it with the airbrush between the solvents and cooling it back off, it lifts pretty quickly.
Yeah, outside it feels a lot warmer than in here.
It's been chilly and rainy.
It's been raining the last couple of days, so it doesn't get much of a chance to get warm in here.
And if you're wondering,
there's no sun.
If you do know paint work and you're wondering about me smacking the thing with my bare hands and not having it stick very well, this is such a matte, bumpy finish, this POR is, that it's going to stick no matter what, I think. And if it doesn't, I'm going to gold leaf it instead, which I was going to do in the first place, but I was going to gold and silver leaf it, and I just didn't have time to order it and wait for it to get here because I ain't buying it locally. It would be outrageously expensive. Ah, come on now, quit lifting.
So maybe what I'll do is, I've got to get some of these videos off of here. I'll show you the other side.
I already got a video of that.
Well, I'll do one here too. Here's what it says. The world must know Jehovah is God and Jesus is King. And then there's a therefore right there. So we'll do that advertise on this side too. And I think we're going to put some scriptures right here too on the Psalms 83:18 and Luke, I think it's chapter 1, I don't remember the verse, but. So that's all for right now. I just wanted to do another quick update. It's what says 1:14 a.m. It would be Monday morning. And we finished the advertise on both sides. Excuse me. And then we also got these magnets we stuck on, and we've got a couple other things to do. And then he put on the top, which I don't know if you can see that, but it says, "Look, I am restoring all things." And now he's just going to hand brush a couple things on, some scriptures. And so that's what he's getting ready to do now, but we're coming down to the end finally. We're both really tired and really excited at the same time to have it finished. And so when we get everything done, I'll probably do another video tomorrow when we are loading this on the trailer to take it tomorrow night. We'll be loading this on the trailer, and I'll be doing a quick video explaining, I guess, the last few minute things that we did tonight and in the morning when we finish. So that's all for today, and we'll see you tomorrow.